Hello, everyone. Originally, I wasn't going to actually do this video. I was hesitant to do this because, well, among other things, most of the focus on this channel is mathematics and the Sunday messages. But sometimes there are so many things that affect men and women on a day to day basis in America, and much of the Western world, I should say, that it becomes imperative for me to share for my audience some fundamental truths. And I know some people don't like when I do that, but at the end of the day, this is my channel, and I decide what I should do and what I shouldn't do. And I was just about to take my evening walk, but if you'll allow me, before I do that, I'll try to be as brief as possible. But I will present for you a story that happened today that was deeply instructive. And I had a man today right here in my office. It's really the story of a man of flesh and blood who was ensnared in the gilded chains of ownership. And the counsel I gave him was to get rid of all he had. He was in tears today. He left my office crying out of joy. Now, I hear already the I can already hear the whispers of objection from some of the modernistic materialist fools out there. What madness is this? To give up one's house? The very cornerstone of American stability. How can you relinquish your home? Ah, but I ask you to listen first to the facts and then to the philosophy behind my advice. You see, the gentleman who came to me today found himself in a predicament, the following predicament. He possesses a home, a dwelling, I call it a dwelling, in Charlottesville, not too far from me. Charlottesville is about an hour north of Lynchburg. And it's worth, the home is worth in the neighborhood of $270,000. And against it, as is the case for most Americans, lies a mortgage to the tune of around, if I recall correct, yeah, it was 240K, $240,000. A respectable sum, and yet one that, like a hungry wolf, demands feeding every month. And those of you who have mortgages, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He has in his bank, he does have a modest reserve. I don't want to give the amount. Should he sell the house, clear his debt, and count the proceeds, he would stand at once with something on the order of, I'll just say, a handsome amount of cash in his checking account. Now, I ask you to consider the contrast. On one side, you have a house. His house groans for constant repair, he told me. He has a furnace that hisses, pipes that leak, a roof. All of you who own homes with a mortgage, you know this. A roof will eventually weep in every storm. And property taxes rise as inexorably as the sun. On the other side, you have a good amount of American dollars, liquid, mobile, unshackled, fit to be wielded with strategy, invested with prudence, or carried as a shield against the uncertainties of life. And yet, what does our world advise? What does the United States of America society advise? We cry out, keep the house, endure the repairs, be proud for you're a homeowner now. What a tragic comedy. To boast of ownership while in truth being owned. You are owned, the vast majority of you who have mortgages, you are owned by the bank, by the tax assessor, by the contractor, by the endless procession of petty emergencies that bleed the spirit dry. I'm not speaking of trifles here, but of that silent master of our age called debt. Debt! DEBT. And in particular, the most prized or praised, I should say, of chains, the mortgage. How fine it sounds to the modern ear. I have bought a house. You bought? Please. No, sir. You have rented your life's labor in advance. You haven't signed a deed of ownership, but an indenture of servitude to a banking house. And the bankers, we all know who they are, will whisper sweet nothings as if they were confessors selling indulgences. Take now, pay later. Live as a king in a house that is not yet yours. In fact, it will probably never be yours. You don't own anything. Remember, every brick of that house you have under a mortgage that you cannot afford it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the money changers until the final coin is pried from your hand. You think you are master, but you are tenant under another name. Now, let us pause and ask what is, in this case, what is freedom? Is it the Do you really believe that freedom is the privilege of saying, I have a house, while the nights are restless with anxiety and the days consumed by unexpected expense? Or is it to wake in the morning unburdened with cash in hand and no creditor knocking at the door? Well, I will tell you plainly, the man who has, whatever amount of money, I don't want to say a specific amount because then people say, no, it's X and Y. Whatever the amount is in the bank and no mortgage, we'll say, is freer than the man who has a $250,000 house with a $180,000 chain about its neck. And you add it all, and he finds himself not a master of his castle, but its servant. He does not live in the house lives off of him. And here is the deeper point in all of this. We live in an age intoxicated with possessions, especially American society, but increasingly you see that in other countries as well, unfortunately. We are taught from childhood that the measure of manhood, specifically, lies in the square footage of your dwelling, the greenness of your lawn. Americans, for example, are obsessed with green lawns. I never understood it because I've lived in other countries, and it's ridiculous the amount of work that goes into that. The granite of it's a big thing now. Granite countertops. I love wood. I'm sorry. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know. I don't want granite countertops. I want wood. My grandparents had wood. My great grandparents had wood. All my ancestors had wood. Why would I want anything different? And yet and I love my ancestors, by the way, with all their faults. But you are nothing without them. And yet I put it to you, the true measure lies in liberty. Possession without peace is bondage in disguise. You have to consider the facts. I have always defended on this channel the facts, the truth. The truth shall set you free, even if it's painful. Every board that creaks in your house demands attention. Every storm that rattles the shingles threatens a bill. Every tax increase gnaws away at your security. And the man who stays for what? Is it because of your pride? Your respectability? The illusion of permanence? There is no permanence in American society. You all know that. Most American, especially in 2025, I'm saying, most interactions in America today are fake. In truth, you are nothing but a tenant. You are a tenant to the bank, a tenant to the government, a tenant to your own fear of being thought less if you relinquish your so-called castle. You have nothing. Is it not a curious irony, ladies and gentlemen, that in the land of the free, we're called the land of the free. We are no longer the land of the free. We haven't been the land of the free for decades, but we call ourselves that. Men chain themselves voluntarily, not with iron shackles, but with mortgages, maintenance, and the ceaseless gnawing worry that tomorrow may bring yet another bill. Now, I'm not saying that every man should sell his house. Far from it. But I do say that when the numbers speak plainly, when the balance sheet declares, sell and you will be freer, lighter, safer, then only vanity, that the tyrant of the soul, stands in the way. And what then is the counsel I gave the man? I knew him from a while back. It was very simple. It was simply this: sell the house, sir, bank the cash, and be free. And now comes the alternative. His parents, retired, wise, and importantly, mortgage free, they own their home in Arkansas outright. They've got a 3-bedroom, modest, ranch in style, but noble. Their only expenses are the usual, of course. Water, you can't escape that. You have to pay for water. Taxes, of course, that's everywhere. Electricity, groceries. And they told their son, why suffer alone in Charlottesville? Why feed the bank? Why pour your wages into that pit? Come live with us. Pay us, X amount to help out a month. And that sum will cover everything: utilities, food, all. The burden is light. You will not live as a tenant, but as a son. And so the question, which is wiser, in that case, he could have stayed in Charlottesville, bound to his $2,100 a month mortgage, storing utilities. And what is the point? The loneliness he has of 4 empty bedrooms. Or you can sell the house, even at a modest profit, and move where family and frugality unite. And I'm going to answer without hesitation. The wiser course is to sell. And why? Because arithmetic does not lie. Pride lies. Your feelings lie. Real estate agents lie. Bankers lie most of all. But arithmetic tells the truth. Imagine no more mortgage statement each month. No more dread of the furnace giving out in the dead of winter. No more nervous glance towards the tax assessor's notice. Instead, you have a man with liquidity, with options, with the ability to pay modestly, to travel lightly, to invest wisely, and above all, to sleep peacefully. Freedom is not found in shingles, nails, and drywall. Freedom is found in the absence of unnecessary obligation. And make no mistake, obligation is what weighs upon him now. So let the respectable sneer. Who cares? Let the neighbors whisper. I don't know what he's thinking. He has all these complexes. What are they going to say? He sold his house. He's only renting now. What of it? Who cares? Better a free renter with thousands in the bank than a weary so-called homeowner who in truth is a servant to his bills. You don't own anything if you have a mortgage. So mark this well. In the economy of life, peace of mind is the highest profit. Pride is a poor investment. It's always been. Vanity is a bankrupt currency. But liquidity, prudence, freedom, these are assets that compound daily. And thus I say without hesitation that the wisest course for this gentleman is not to persist in the treadmill of repairs and taxes, but to step off, sell, and claim his liberty. You can let others call it radical. Who cares? I call it logical because it is the logical answer. It is rooted in the truth. You can let others say it is defeat. I say it is victory. For the man who sells a burden and pockets his freedom is not diminished. He is enlarged. A house $2,000 for one man is like a mistress to adorn. She flatters the eye but devours the purse. You gentlemen know that. Be careful with those pretty women. They'll entrap you. And tradition is not sentimentality. Tradition is prudence. Our forefathers did not worship houses. They worshiped family, continuity, the wise handing down of resources. A house is a tool. If it drains your wealth, that was the case of this young man. He's not making enough money to sustain the expenditures that come with it. Most of his money is going towards the outrageous interest rate that he is paying. He's paying over 7% interest rate. Can you imagine that? How is that building equity at all? So if it drains your wealth, it fails its purpose. Better to let it go and preserve your fortune than to cling and be devoured by it. Now, some of you will raise the specter of taxes, but what about capital gains? If he sells before 2 years, he hasn't owned the house, by the way, he's owned it for less than 2 years, fewer than 2 years. That's a fair question, but the answer is simple. The tax is a trifle compared to the cost of waiting. If the house bleeds you $1,000 of excess each month, then a year of waiting will cost you 12,000. You pay the tax and escape. It's better. It's always better a clean cut than a slow bleed. In truth, the only argument for keeping the Charlottesville house in his case was pride. The pride of saying, I own this. But pride is a poor accountant. Pride does not pay the electric bill, the light bill. Pride does not soften the interest rate, does it? Pride is the most expensive luxury a man can buy. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, if you take nothing else from my little evening discourse, take this maxim to heart. A house may be a shelter, but freedom is a fortress. Choose the fortress. So I say again, sell the house. Free yourself. Live wisely. Save boldly. And when others boast of their mortgages and their endless payments, smile. I laugh when I hear people talk with pride about a mortgage. They're laughing. They're smiling about slavery. You will have what they will never know, freedom. And perhaps in some quiet town, perhaps your birth town or some other compatible place with no bank to haunt you, you will sit on your own porch, maybe not the grandest, not the whitest, not the most admired, but yours, fully yours. That is wealth. That is tradition. That is the wisdom of our fathers. That is the Christian way, the right way. And so I repeat the counsel. Give up your unsustainable mortgage, sir, and be free. Sell the house, sir. For a man who lays down a burden lays up a treasure. And liberty is the only estate worth owning. May you all have a good night.